this Friday morning. It is the end of the week, and as you can see behind me, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. It is the end of the week indeed. I am with you, helping you with your English Mondays at 8:30 to 9:30. Wednesdays and Fridays at the same time every week. So I'm bringing you help with your vocabulary, grammar, all things English, and we're going to try and make it lighthearted. It is just the morning time, not to be working too hard, just to enjoy ourselves. Get your coffee ready. I'm going to have some of mine right now. Absolutely necessary to start the day. So as I said, coffee morning with me, James O Reilly, every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, helping you with your English. What do I have for you today? Well, let's have a look. First, I'm going to talk about what's been happening in the news while we were sleeping. Then we're going to look at what happened earlier on in the week in the news. Not too much, just going over it lightly. Give you some vocabulary, pronunciation, and chatting about what has been happening. Then we'll be looking at an article. This is a fun article in relation to emojis and how we use emojis in text, how we use emojis in work, and also, are you old? Because there are emojis now that if you use them, you are considered an old person. So it's really interesting. I had a look at that with some students yesterday. It was really fun and interesting, as well as looking at passive aggressive emails in English. Okay, you can relate them, of course, to Spanish emails, how you write them, and so on. This is very, very useful when you're doing business with Americans or English people, and maybe you have noticed what it's like when they reoccur and how you feel. Let's say, very interesting article. Then I'm going to be looking at frases en inglés. I'm going to be practicing my Spanish reading to help you with some English expressions for work, and then also I can look at some English expressions. If anybody has any questions, put them in the chat for me in YouTube or here on LinkedIn. I will get back to you at the end if there are any questions that I can answer. Okay, so let's jump into it, and I'm going to start off by looking at the let me get out of here and go over here. Yes, so this is what's been happening while we were asleep. I'm going to minimize myself because I'm too big here. So I'm just going to drop myself down into the corner. And we're looking at what happened when we were asleep. Okay, while you were sleeping. Okay. Agreement of the 27 on energy. I assume that's the European 27 countries. Kevin Spacey, yen at its lowest, the Japanese yen currency, the information of the night. So, agreement of the 27 in view of measures to contain energy prices. Energy prices going crazy all around Europe. What has happened? The president of the European Council, Charles Michel, announced on the night of Thursday 20 to Friday 21 October that the leaders of the European Union had agreed to work on measures, air quotes, we say air quotes, to stem the outbreak of energy prices. This is to stop the flow or stop to stem. After 2 days of tough negotiations in Brussels, we can read in the site of Deutsche Welle, German website, negotiations underlines the German radio and television continued on Thursday because the divisions between certain countries could not be bridged and no consensus was reached on the cap of gasoline prices. Right, okay, so it looks like it's as usual. Business as usual in Europe, which means the same as usual, business as usual. Nobody can agree on anything. Fantastic. Okay, loving it. A civil court dismisses an actor who accused Kevin Spacey of sexual touching. Kevin Spacey, as the famous actor from American Beauty, he was also in, I can't remember the famous TV series. you guys will know, I can't remember, but very, very popular Netflix series, which he was cancelled because of allegations. And there was a new allegation. Kevin Spacey was found not guilty of sexual assault in New York civil court on Thursday. After about an hour and a half of deliberations, this is when the jury, the 12 people, talk in a room and they, is he guilty? Is he not guilty? This is deliberations. Jurors returned a verdict concluding that Anthony Rapp had not proven that the fallen Hollywood star had touched any part or many of his sexual or private parts. In English, when we talk about our sexual organs, often we'll say private parts. It's the kind of word you can use in public if you want to mention private parts, because in many English countries we are conservative people, and saying the real name of things just too much. We just want to say private parts. The House of Cards. Okay. The House of Cards actor left court without saying a word. He is due to appear in another trial next year in London. Yeah, so there are a fantastic, great actor, but he has been embroiled or involved in many sexual allegations, and he will be going to court or going on trial next year in London as well. Okay. So, and finally here, the yen is at a new low since 1990. The crash is coming. I'm looking at the news everywhere. I already thought it was here, but it's like, no, it's coming. So it's going to be big, guys. The yen crossed the threshold of 150 yen to the dollar on Thursday, the first in more than 3 decades. Of course, a decade is similar to, in Spanish, década, 10 years. Investors remain alert to further intervention by Japanese authorities to support the currency. This is from the Financial Times. The yen has lost more than 23% of its value against the dollar since the start of the year, due to the widening gap between Bank of Japan's ultra-loose monetary policy and the tightening of credit conditions of most other major central banks, notes the newspaper. Okay, so yeah, not looking good. That's what was happening at night time. And of course, here we have the typical of the continuing unfortunate war in Ukraine. What I want to jump into first thing really is a light-hearted, right, an easy-going topic for Friday. It is Friday, and I want to talk to you about emojis. Okay, so when we're sending WhatsApps, of course, we use emojis while we're talking to our friends in our WhatsApp groups. But how do you use emojis? That's what I'd like to know. Let me know in the comments. So it looks like we have different uses of emojis for the different age groups. So if you were born in the 60s, you are a boomer. After that, the next generation was of which I am one, is Generation X. Then around, then you have the millennials, of course, which who grew up in their 20s with the internet and social media. And then it's Generation Z, Gen Z, who have completely grown up with social media, computers, tablets, and so on. And after that, the young kids now are called Generation Alpha, but they are not doing much at the moment. My children's age, 8 years old, around, kids. So the different generations use emojis in different ways. So how do you use emojis, and how do you use them in work? Let's have a look. So we also have these ones. I'm going to look at them in a second. The surprising emojis you should be using in 2022 and how to use them. This is from the Daily Mail. 10 symbols only old people use are revealed. Okay, you should be using a blue baseball cap, skull, and both of the crying laughing emojis in text and online, according to new research. Gen Z can't. Gen Z are people between, let's say, right now, 18 and 30. No, maybe, no, younger. Let me see. They are probably maximum 20, early 20s right now, Gen Z. Or yeah, early to mid 20s. Gen Z can't get enough of the laughing emojis and skull. This is the skull down here. This is the skull. Crying, laughing. This one. And oh yeah, this is interesting. According to old people were slammed for using the thumbs up in conversation. This is a thumbs up, pulgar. So if you use this, it's not good. Let's see why it's not good. In a moment. Gen Z, okay, across the board. Okay. The laughing, crying face is popular. This one, popular across the board, means everywhere, across the board, in all areas. Other cool emerging emojis which prove you're up to date with online communication include the cowboy here and the blue cap. I bet lots of you have no idea what these mean. I only found out yesterday. I'm Gen X. I have to admit, some of these for me. I did know what the skull meant. Let's go down and see what. So it seems, I can't remember. I even read it yesterday. The intended meaning for the cowboy is exuberance, according to its creators. Okay. But Gen U, okay, so it's supposed to mean exuberance, delighted to do something, or delighted, or Gen Z use it to convey or pretending to be happy when you are sad. So this might be, for example, used like, yeah, so what are you doing tomorrow? Oh, I can't go out tomorrow on Saturday because I have to work. Cowboy emoji, which means, God, what does it mean? Pretending to be happy when you are sad. So really I'm sad, but I don't know, am I hiding something under my hat? Anyway, doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm going to start using it. I want to keep up with the times. That's the cowboy hat. Try and use it today and see if anyone gives you a comment back and says anything to you in that sense. Pretending to be happy when you're sad, the cowboy. 70% of Gen Zs admit to using emojis that go against their intended meaning, as do 60% of Gen Y. Millennials are Generation Y. Millennials. They are up to their late 30s now, Gen Y. Boomers are more likely to stick to the traditional meaning, with only 20% admitting to sending an emoji to convey a different meaning. So often what Gen Z, we say it in the American sense, Gen Z will use something ironically. Okay, they're using it. It's not its original meaning. So it's kind of perhaps sarcastic or dark humor. But the older generations, like boomers in their 50s, 60s, and Gen X, often like me, will use the original. So a thumbs up is cool, great, thumbs up. But perhaps the younger generation this is something different. So let's see. This can be seen with the thumbs up emoji, which is seen as negative and passive aggressive to Gen Z and millennials, who are very positive to boomers. So if you're an older person, this is cool. Yeah, great. I agree. Yes, that's good to me. See you later. Yes, I use it all the time. With no irony, just it's a thumbs up. It's all good. But Gen Z and millennials see it as negative. Some do, not everybody. The most popular emojis across the board the most popular one is the crying, laughing face. So we saw this earlier up here. Very popular. I think absolutely most people use it. And let me see. The most popular. The next is the rolling, laughing face, followed by the skull. Okay, so I think the rolling laughing one is this one. It's kind of on its side. And then the next one is skull. So I think the skull means, somebody told me, is dying laughing. I'm dying laughing. If it doesn't, the cap emoji, while rising in popularity, is often misused by older people. I wouldn't say misused, it's just not used at all. Its contemporary use, its present use, is to call people out for lying. Okay. So if someone is lying, you put the cap emoji. You say you're lying, or I'm lying, and just joking. It's not serious. It's not true. You put the cap. Okay, I'm going to try and do it. Got to stay up with the times. The clown is used to convey embarrassment after saying something foolish. Okay, so if you say something foolish, you get something wrong in a text or in a group or to your friend, you go, oh yeah, sorry, oops, the clown face. Okay, so let's go through this. This is pretending to be happy when you're sad. The clown face is when you're embarrassed, you said something embarrassing. The skull is when you're dying laughing. This one doesn't change the meaning. And the cap is when you call someone out, is when you accuse or you say, hey, you're lying, I know you're lying, to call somebody out for lying. Research released, younger people feel attacked when the thumbs up is used in conversation. It might be seen as a bit sarcastic to do the thumbs up, like, yeah, well done, like, if you say so. Okay, so it's a bit kind of sarcastic, passive aggressive. And the icon appears to have a very different rude meaning for the younger generation. I'm just guessing here. I assume it means it's sarcastic. I think there's perhaps a small percentage of people who feel it's a bit sarcastic. A 24-year-old on Reddit summed up a summary, the Gen Z argument. Saying it is best never used in any situation as it's hurtful. Okay. I don't know. I'm lost for words. Okay. No one my age in the office does it, but the Gen X people always do it. It took me a bit to adjust and get it out of my head that it means they're mad. Okay. So he felt, or she felt, that this was like sarcastic and the opposite meaning, but really realized then that the older generation are using it with no irony. It's like, it's good. Okay. Okay, most people. You let me know in the comments. Which ones do you use? Are you of the younger generation? Are you using the older ones? And these are the ones, top emojis that make you look old. So you're old if you're using thumbs up. The red love heart, 22%. Okay hand, 20%. I want to talk about this. Tick is 17%. The poo is 17%. We say poo instead of mierda. Poo. It's the polite word. If you say the shit, it's rude, but poo is polite, no problem. Loudly crying face, 16%. Monkey eye cover, covering your eyes, 15%. Clapping hands, 10%. I see this a lot. Lipstick kiss mark. Lipstick is, I can't remember what that is. Pintalabios in Spanish. 10%. And the grimacing face, 9%. Grimace, I need to explain this because I completely had this wrong. Right. Thumbs up, monkey covering. This one was the okay. This one became a bit controversial, polemic. It became controversial a while ago on social media because this okay was considered to be a white supremacy symbol because of and it meant white power, and it was considered not safe to use for a time. I think it's okay now, but for example, people would be doing it in photos, maybe holding it beside their leg, or like people like in a photo like, hey, and then someone doing this, and it was kind of, but it meant white power. So here you can see the W for white and then the P for power. It's very ridiculous, but some people were trying to hijack this symbol, which looks harmless, nope, but really giving a subliminal message of white power. Not sure if it's still the case. I use it, and I think everybody should use it so it doesn't get hijacked by these groups or organizations or whatever they are. But that was in the news, especially in the United States, where there's a lot of issues with different groups. So, crying face, I use this a lot. Lipstick, okay. The heart, the clapping hands. I see the clapping hands a lot in the WhatsApp group for parents. The tick, I don't see a problem. The poo, yeah. And the grimacing face. So let me explain what a grimace is, because I thought this was like a smiling face, but apparently it's a grimacing face, and I thought it was like hee hee hee, but it's a grimacing face. So if you imagine I'm hammering a nail, and then I hit my thumb and I go, or you see somebody doing something painful, you're like, that's a grimace. So it's not enjoyable. It's like, you know, you see somebody hurting themselves. It's that face that you make. It's a grimace. I don't know what it is in Spanish. I'm going to look up the word. You guys can let me know. It's going to take me too long. Another thing I've noticed with my students, do you remember a time when you were going to school and you had language? You had a language lesson in English, and your teacher always said, if you don't have your dictionary, you're out of the class. That's what it was like for me when I was studying French in school. Everybody had a dictionary. And now, we don't need to buy a dictionary. We can just get it online, absolutely free. And you know what I've noticed with my students? All my students across the board, nobody has a dictionary. And it's free on your phone. And I say nobody, I'm being like, but I'm talking about maybe 5% of people. It's a grimace. Mueca. Moín. Pero su mueca expresaba su disgusto. Mueca. Grimace. All right, there you go. That is the emojis. Do you use them in work? Got to be careful in an international setting. Are you working with younger people? Look at how perhaps if you're in a WhatsApp group for work, how are the younger people in your country using the emojis? Do they use emojis? If you're a manager, would you recommend your employees or your staff to avoid using emojis? Because I think for the older age groups, everything is fine. There's no innuendo. But for other people, perhaps it means, how can this, all of a sudden, this is offensive to people. So is it good to use them? Should the younger generation relax? Should we follow their lead and start using the new ones? Interesting topic. Let me know what you guys think. Now I want to move down to emails in work and passive-aggressive. Here it is. Passive-aggressive corporate email jargon decoded. Jargon is herdaga. And I'm going to do this so you should be able to see. This is from the Daily Mail. It's kind of a sensationalist newspaper, La Prensa Rosa, I would say. Quite a royalist newspaper on the right, but it is very popular indeed. And if you are at a certain level of English, a high level of English, I recommend this newspaper because it's lots of different things. You can go in and look at anything you want. There's a female section, there's the sports, there's everything you want in this newspaper. And of course, more than likely, you won't be reading any politics because you're not interested in other countries' politics. so you don't need to worry about the fact that it is right wing or left wing, or it's not important. Just find articles that you enjoy. So, as you can see, this article is about emojis. So, passive aggressive emails. First one here, when somebody says, per my last email, what they really mean is the information in my previous correspondence. The information is in my previous correspondence. Why did you not bother to read it before asking? I mentioned before, in the UK and often in the United States, we are indirect. We're not going to tell you exactly how we feel, but in these words, we are telling you how we feel. We are being passive aggressive. Per my last email. So if somebody starts an email like this, you should be perhaps noticing that they are a bit annoyed, molesto, I suppose. The information is in the previous correspondence. Why did you not read it before asking? So you didn't need to read this, and I am saying it again. Okay. Next one is, hope this helps, and that is, never ask me for anything again. Okay. I have given you all the information. Hope this helps. Don't ask me any more questions. Okay. Yeah, that's probably true. Obviously, none of these are going to be true in all the senses. You have to look at it in the broader sense, like the emojis, and work it out. But hope this helps. I will often put hope this helps. But I don't really have to work in the corporate area too much. I'm working with students. They generally don't ask me for too much, and I'm not sending emails all day like you guys, a lot of you. So you will know in your language which is passive aggressive, which is not. Hope this helps. Some of you are working in an international with people in the UK. Have a look. This they are not direct people all the time. They are subtle messages. So see if it works for you. And if, for example, per my last email, have a look and see if they already did put the information in the last email. Well, it does really indicate it's in my last email. Let's go down to the next one. Thanks for your feedback. I'll be sure to keep it in mind. I mentioned this before. When somebody says, I'll keep it in mind, it means I've already forgotten. Okay? Your criticism is incorrect and irrelevant. I'll never consider it. Okay, so if you guys are giving me feedback and I say, oh, thanks very much for your feedback, I really appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you for your feedback. I'll keep it in mind. Yeah, okay, not interested. Yeah. So again, context is king in the situation. I could really mean it, but you have to read the person. It's not always 100%, of course. I could say, I'll keep it in mind, and I really will. But a lot of the time, it is true when someone says, I'll keep it in mind, it's kind of like, I don't appreciate your input. I'll keep it in mind, lo tendré en cuenta, or tomo nota. Context. Just to clarify, do you realize how stupid that sounds? Just to clarify, I get the context here. The context here is like, you have said something in an email and then someone replies to you and says, okay, just to clarify, and they mean like, what, are you really serious to like that? That is nonsense. So, but of course you can have, if there is a misunderstanding, you also have, okay, and I was saying yesterday that perhaps you could say, just to be sure, or just to make sure, will the team be having the meeting in London this year or in Paris? The get together or the kickoff or whatever it is. So just to clarify, also can be passive aggressive. Right. Just circling back. Okay, I mentioned this before. To circle back to something is to go back to a previous point. Okay, and if you're doing a presentation or a talk and somebody raises a question, or you want to say something quickly, not spend a lot of time, and say, we can circle back to that later on. We can circle back to that at the end of the presentation. if someone asks a question, is that I can circle back to that question at the end of the presentation. Now, if someone says, just circling back, that means here it says, give me an answer to my question right now. So it's an indirect way of saying, so just circling back to the emojis, what does the cap mean? So just circling back is like, I am circling us back and I want an answer. So the important thing to know is, what does circle back mean? It means getting back to the previous point, getting back to something. Useful expression. Of course, everything here is context, okay? But these are corporate passive-aggressive emails. If you're working with people in the UK, watch carefully. Okay, next one. As previously discussed, I didn't put it in writing last night because I assumed it was obvious and that you were an adult. Okay, so when it was talked about, or somebody asks a stupid question in an email, I'm going to say, yeah, like as previously discussed, like we talked about this. Why are you making me write an email to you? I thought you were like an adult. Okay, it was already discussed, as previously discussed. So passive aggressive, absolutely. Next one. While I understand your urgency means, just because you didn't do something when you were supposed to do it, it doesn't make it my problem. Okay, we have this particular situation in my house at the moment. There is an email we were working on in the evening, and it was exactly this, and this wasn't, we haven't received an answer or something, but you can imagine a situation where you want something quickly and the other person says, I understand your urgency. I know this is urgent for you, but it's not my problem. You know, so I could say something like, while I understand your urgency, we do not take requests out of date. So if you think about the comedor, the canteen in school, and you want to put your child in this week, it's very important. They could say, while I understand your urgency, we only accept applications at the beginning of the month. You will have to wait until the beginning of next month. It's like, I know you have a problem, but it's not my problem. Okay, next. I'll let you two take it from here. Okay, I'm not part of this conversation and I don't want to be. Okay, talking in a group, maybe there are three of you, your manager, for example, or if you are the manager and you tell the two people what needs to be done, and then you want to leave, you say, okay guys, I'll let you two take it from here. Okay, I'm gone. Okay, you know what you have to do. I don't need to be involved here. I'm going to go. So I'll let you take it from here, or I'll let you two take it from here. I don't want to be involved anymore. It's not my problem. So yeah, I can imagine this in a situation where you are told something from a boss, and then it's like, okay, get on with it. I'm out. You go ahead. Thanks for the inputs. Do not speak to me ever again. Okay, passive aggressive. Thanks for the inputs. Okay. If you do give feedback or input to somebody and this is pretty much the only reply you get in an email, that is someone who's not happy. Yeah. Another one we have, not passive aggressive, just I'm thinking, is we have an expression which is if someone offers you something and you can say thanks but no thanks. It's a nice one to use, thanks but no thanks. But this thanks for the input, like feedback, don't speak to me ever again. Yeah, I can understand that. If you're probably wondering, how can I say this in a nice way, or like I said before, would be a bit longer than this, and you could say, I really appreciate your input, or I really appreciate your feedback, and If you want to say tomo nota, lo tendré en cuenta in a good way, you'll say I'll definitely keep it in mind, or I appreciate your input. I'll if you add in a little word like I will definitely keep it in mind. Toma nota. I will have to remember that. I will definitely have to remember that. Just make it sound more honest rather than just a set response. I've attached another copy for your convenience. Don't pretend like you didn't see the first one. Okay, I'm sending you something. I've already sent it to you, and I'm attaching the attachment again for your convenience. So, oh yeah, you've probably asked for something. They attached it. You said, "Oh, I didn't get it," and then they say, "I've attached it for your convenience," which means I already did. Okay. The next one, just a few things. Right. This is a situation where you have sent an email to your boss, let's say, or somebody who you want to review your work presentation, whatever it may be, and they say just a few things. Just a few things is like there are many things wrong with this. It's not, if it's just one thing, that's going to be something very important. Or maybe if there's really something small, I say, could you just make a different change? But when it's just a few things, a few can be three technically, but it means many. And in this sense, is like if there's already more than three, there's a lot wrong with this. So this is so terrible. I don't even know where to begin. Yeah, and you can. The person will list it, and you will see there will be. You'll probably have to do everything again. Friendly reminder. There's nothing friendly about this message. Yeah, friendly reminder. You need to resubmit your application for. You need to submit your application again. Otherwise, you will be cancelled next week. So it's not a friendly reminder because something bad is going to happen. So friendly reminder. There is nothing friendly about this message. If you want to say it's like just a reminder would be better. At your earliest convenience. Do it now. Yeah. As soon as possible. That basically means as soon as possible. Do it now. Let me know if you have any questions. I really hope you don't have any questions. Yes, I saw this in action. Just recently. Yep. And it really was a situation of like... I hope you don't have any questions. That's the feeling I got from it. I hope you don't have any questions. Yeah. So quickly going through again, per my last email, hope this helps. Thank you for your feedback. I'll be sure to keep it in mind just to clarify. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this under the, I'm going to put this link under in LinkedIn and in YouTube. So you guys can look at this, talk to it about your colleagues. Is it the same here in Spain? What is the situation for you guys? Very, very frustrating. I'm absolutely sure it's frustrating. The English, UK or American mentality when you are from here. Just it's a totally new system. Spain is more transparent. This country is more transparent. What about you guys in Latin America? I have a feeling you guys could be a bit more British, maybe a bit more subtle than where people are quite direct in Spain, which is fantastic. It's excellent. They say generally, I feel you guys say exactly what you mean, and I get it. But we are indirect, and it's very frustrating for people. But that's the way it is. And you just have to kind of, what we say is read between the lines. Okay. Where am I going next? I wanted to look at the... I'll just move that over there to give you a nice picture. I want to talk about this later if I have any time. It was about digital nomads. But I wanted to look at some frases. Where are they gone? So I'm going to be using some Spanish frases to give you an idea of some English expressions for business. Okay, so let's jump in and let's have a look. So I'm going to just go over here for a second. Make myself a bit bigger while I'm talking about this. So, frases en inglés para negocios. Okay. 800-pound gorilla. Pounds is a measurement of weight, like kilograms. So 800, you could even say 800 kilo gorilla if it makes you remember better. Se usa para referirse a una persona o compañía, empresa que tiene un importante poder sobre el sector. Example, in the software industry, Microsoft would be considered an 800-pound gorilla. So it's a really good way to refer to a big company in your area. So Microsoft is an 800-pound gorilla. Other Amazon's an 800-pound gorilla. What is in the sector of electricity here in Spain? Iberdrola, for example. In the sector of telecommunications, you're looking at Telefónica. These are the big players. Okay. Next, a line. So that's 800-pound gorilla. Next, a line in the sand. Cuando se establecen condiciones finales que no pueden cambiarse. That is, the president has drawn a line in the sand, which means that if the foreign troops are not removed, they will be attacked. Okay? So, a line in the sand. Cuando se establecen condiciones finales que no pueden cambiarse. These conditions are not going to be changed. The president has drawn a line in the sand, which means that if the foreign troops are not removed, they will be attacked. So, this is something that has been used quite a lot recently, or is being used in the war in Ukraine, where it's saying, if you don't do this, or if this happens, this is going to happen. So to draw a line in the sand. Next, a two-way street. A two-way street. Ambos lados se benefician de lo que suceda. Ambos lados se benefician de lo que suceda. Ejemplo. The example. This is a two-way street, you know. You will have to help me someday in return. It's a two-way street. I help you, and then at some point you're going to help me. It's not just a one-way street where I help you. It's a two-way street. I expect something in return. Okay? How am I doing with the Spanish, guys? The next one, all hands on deck. Esta expresión se utiliza cuando en algún proyecto o evento se necesita la ayuda de todos y cada uno de los integrantes de la empresa, sin excepción. Okay, basically we need everyone helping. Okay, all hands on deck to rescue the pilots. Okay, I think if you need everybody involved in the team, you could say, yeah, and in this project, we guys, it's all hands on deck. Everybody needs to help. It's all hands on deck. It's a kind of common thing you see in the films where they're on the boat crossing the sea, and then you hear all hands on deck, and then everybody comes up. The deck is the deck of the boat. It's the deck. It's like the floor of the boat that is exposed. So, all hands on deck, we need everybody helping. An old hand, persona con una larga experiencia en un ámbito concreto. For example, she's an old hand at magazines, having trained on Cosmopolitan before, that's all joined together, before editing company. Okay, she's an old hand. So if you have somebody in the magazine industry, in the marketing industry, who has worked at many different places, you could say she's an old hand. Okay, she knows what she's doing. She's got lots of experience. All right. Learning curve. We did that the other day. Oh, here's one. On a shoestring. Very common. A shoestring is the cord for your shoes. It's the shoestring. Se utiliza cuando un proyecto o evento se lleva a cabo con la menor cantidad de dinero posible. We lived on a shoestring for years before I got a good paying job. John traveled to Florida on a shoestring. Often you'll hear the example of a shoestring budget. It means the minimum. Nothing. Next to nothing. So if you have a shoestring budget or you did something on a shoestring, it means with literally, figuratively, not much money. It's very useful. If you just try and remember shoestring, or maybe if you think about a pasta noodle, because that's what you were living on when you were in university. You were living on a shoestring budget. Okay, it is coffee time with me, James O'Reilly, in association with LK Formación, tailor-made solutions for your business. I've been working with LK for the last while now. Fantastic company. LKformacion.com. Check them out for your human resources needs. And I am going to have some coffee now, because it is coffee morning with me. And as I'm talking to you, I feel today I'm talking quite fast. If you are sticking with this and you are looking and I am speaking fast, I will slow down. But don't worry, you do not need to understand everything. If you want your listening Spanish to improve, don't listen to me because I just made a mistake. If you want your listening English to improve, just don't focus on every word that the person is saying. And I recommend, and I'm interested in hearing your experience, but I don't recommend subtitles on Netflix, for example, but it depends. If you are at a certain level, and I would say if you are at B2, and if you understand the European system of languages, you have A1, A2. A1 is the lowest, okay, or elementary. A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, all getting better. I think once you get to B1, B2, you really should be trying to take away subtitles. And I say this because in my house, my wife is from Turkey and she will watch with subtitles. That's absolutely fine. But I think what I've noticed is when the subtitles are on, I read the subtitles. And then I get anxiety if I think about taking away the subtitles. It's almost like it's, we say it's a crutch. A crutch is like when you break your leg and you need this support. So it's a support and we're afraid of losing the support. I recommend taking away this support. If you're watching Netflix, perhaps take it away for a series that is not so important for you. You say, this is my English series. I will not use subtitles, because I don't think there's ever a time when you will get tired of subtitles. It just doesn't happen. You'll just get used to them and you will continue using them. And like I said, in my family, my wife watches and she doesn't need to, but she does. It's because it's a support. She's used to it. And like I said, I can watch it with subtitles as well. But of course, I don't need them. But you get this mental idea. So if you have a really important TV series, continue with your subtitles. That's fine, because you want to know exactly what's happening. Okay, I understand. Try and watch something perhaps that is less important, and you can say, okay, this is my English one. I'm going to watch this one without subtitles, and you'll be surprised because there's no pressure and you just relax. Podcasts, of course, are fantastic. You already know there are no subtitles, so you're mentally prepared. And I have telephone calls with people even at low levels, and they're quite able to understand me and follow the conversation. Okay, I'm preaching now. I wanted to look at something else after this. I wanted to go in and just look at the news wrap up from the other day in LinkedIn. So let's have a look at this. This is because I know I've done it again because I've made myself bigger. And I'm going to reduce my, moving the whole screen there 1 second. I need to minimize myself down here into this corner. And then I'm going to go back into there we go. Right, frequent hair straightener use. This is from LinkedIn News. Gives you a little bit of news and it's quite useful. So let's have a look at what does this say. A wrap up on Tuesday or Wednesday. Frequent hair straightener use may raise uterine cancer risk. So your uterus is part of your body, a woman's body. Regular use of chemical hair straighteners may more than double the risk of uterine cancer, a study has found. Researchers tracked or followed 34,000 women in the US for more than a decade and found that the risk of developing uterine cancer went from 1.64% among women who didn't use straighteners to 4.05% among those who did. You may have noticed when I am mentioning the numbers, I said 1.64%. I don't know if it's just me, but I think it's more common just to say 64% instead of 1.64%. And one thing, if you didn't know, but is very common, is we don't say zero in English. A lot of people say O, like the letter of the alphabet. So I'm giving you a telephone number, 640-8220, whatever it is. We'll say O. That is a native thing in English. You can listen for it. Zero obviously works. That's absolutely fine. But it's one of those native things that a lot of people say. Next. This is, as you can see in the picture, a photograph of an oficina de empleo in Spain. Labour market. European towns struggling with youth unemployment. The average youth unemployment rate has dropped, but some areas are seeing rates of up to 45%. Some cities are struggling to retain highly educated young people. Klaipėda, a city in Lithuania, has set up a fund to attract specialists under 30 to sectors with shortages. Shortages are faltas, such as teaching and medicine. 45%. Yeah, I mean, there are some areas, of course, that you can study, but when you finish your studies, there's just no work in that area. And this is also what we call, in some countries, you call brain drain. To drain is to, you know, when you finish washing your clothes in the machine and at the end the water drains out. Okay, and we say brain drain because the brains, the young intelligent people, the young university educated people or skilled people leave the country or the area for better opportunities. Next, workplace culture. From LinkedIn News, why introverts shouldn't act like extroverts. The modern workplace is built for extroverts. They tend to get paid more, promoted faster, and receive more positive ratings. However, introverts should carefully consider the benefits of acting more extroverted than they are, as doing so can take a substantial mental toll and lower energy levels. So if you are an introvert, trying to act like an extrovert can have a toll or an impact on your mental health. All right. Idea of the day. Remember, if you suffer from job interview imposter syndrome, remember this if you suffer from job interview imposter syndrome. Okay, let's see. While many feel that a job interview can be the moment when we'd be exposed as less qualified than other candidates, there's no need to doubt yourself, writes Alexander Smith. If you ever had a past interview and didn't get the role, it meant you were being seriously considered. Don't doubt yourself. Keep applying for roles and don't give up. So this can happen to people. You get imposter syndrome. I don't deserve this. There's people more qualified than me. But you have had an interview. You have been asked to an interview. So of course you're qualified. And in everything anyway, in most things, there's always going to be someone better than us. So keep going, keep trying. That is from Alexander Smith. I could not agree more. Keep going. Today's debate: has it become harder to take a sick day? I saw this, yeah. Glyn Rees, founder and CEO of Rees Marks. While many believing we are in a recession or soon will be entering one, like I mentioned earlier, many employees believe they need to carry on working from home to keep their company happy and not lose their job. My view has always been the same. Whether working in the office or at home, stay off work until better and do all you can to get yourself back to full fitness. Yeah, there is a feeling among a lot of people that I still should work. And this happened, I was listening to The Economist. There's a great podcast I mentioned before on The Economist called The Intelligence. Gives you 3 or 4 news stories a day. And this and how during the pandemic you're sick, but hey, I'm at home. People still try to work, and if they feel sicker, they'll go to bed and work from there. There is this idea of brain fog, niebla, in your that is you could be making bad decisions. So as he says here is stay off work. To be off work is darse de baja until better. Okay. But there is, of course, this pressure people feel. Like before, you went to the office, I don't feel well, and you go home and you stay and you don't work. But now you're at home working. So it's tough. Okay, that was that one. And then I wanted to, let's have a look quickly at yesterday's one, the wrap up. So you wrap up a meeting as you finish. This is the wrap up from Thursday the 20th. Liz Truss resigns as UK Prime Minister. The British Prime Minister Liz Truss has resigned after her economic plan sparked financial turmoil. Her mini budget caused the pound and British bonds markets to tumble. To tumble is to go down, to tumble. Truss, who led the Conservative government for just 45 days, said she could not deliver the mandate for which she was chosen. Okay, the writing was on the wall for her from the beginning. When this writing is on the wall, it's like the signs are there. It was very obvious she was going to resign. Sustainability. EU Parliament supports new electric vehicle infrastructure plan, EVs. The European Parliament has adopted a regulation of alternative fuels infrastructure that requires EU members to build EV charging points at least every 60 kilometers on main motorways. Okay, so for electric vehicles, this is the fear a lot of people have, is like, what if I run out of electricity? What if I run out of battery? Now there will be a new law which every country needs to reach the target by 2026. Less than 5 hours sleep raises risk of chronic diseases. Over 50s who sleep less than 5 hours a night have a 30% greater chance of poor health, a study has found. I hate reading these because I really feel like, well, I've been in bed a long time, but I sleep badly. So how can I sleep more, No increased risk of chronic disease was found in those who slept more than 9 hours a night. Well, who sleeps more than 9 hours a night? In a study of 8,000 people over 25 years. Now, over 25 years means for a period of over 25 years, not for people who are 25 years old or over 25 years old. You need to be careful of this. Over 50 can refer to people. Over 50 years old can refer to people. But over 50 years is a period of more than 50 years, not the people. Bit complicated, but when you talk about age, it's best just to say 25, 50, And if you're going to say continue and say years, you need to say years old. You can't just say I am 50 years. So I'm 50 years old, or I'm 50. Quickly moving on. Idea of the day: what do you do if you're in a toxic workplace? Well as trying not to bring stress home, finding a mentor from another team who can offer a listening ear and impartial advice can help in toxic workplaces, advises Brian's son. Journal the scenarios that push your boundaries or reflect if you could have approached them differently. Avoid hasty conclusions, but assess if the toxic vibe is crossing into bullying. Good to have someone that you can talk to from a different department. Get things off your chest. A lot of you working at home now could benefit from this. And then be aware of when this toxicity or toxic environment could be bullying. I think a lot of people at home working can feel that they are maybe not possible to be bullied online, but it is quite possible to be bullied online when you are working with a team. And be aware of this and try and communicate, have a mentor or someone you can talk to. Is the system of yearly appraisals broken? Yearly appraisals is at the end of the year, you are like, get a grade of 1 to 5. Is that not fair? Should you be having appraisals every month, which is more fair, gives you feedback, then you can change, and then at the end, you have a higher chance of getting a better appraisal. That is, the appraisal is how you have been doing. And then finally, see you tomorrow. Well, I won't be seeing you tomorrow because I will be off and it will be Saturday. It is the weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I hope it's been okay for you. What did I want to say? Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Thank God it's Friday. I will see you guys next Monday. Have a fantastic weekend. Have a great Friday. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Okay. All the best. Take it easy.